Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome to another installment of Draven's Hyrulean Adventure. In this episode I want to take a look at something that's relatively new release, just came out I think about a week or so ago now, or within the last couple of weeks, and this is the Legend of Zelda Art and Artifacts book. This came out from Dark Horse Publishing, and it is a pretty hefty book. So let's look at the back here. It says the Legend of Zelda series has produced some of the most iconic and memorable artwork in video game history. Nintendo has thrown open the vault to collect your favorite masterpieces from the storied franchise, as well as rare, never-before-seen content. The Legend of Zelda Art and Artifacts contains over 400 pages of illustrations from the first 30 years of the series. This oversized hardcover includes game box art, official character designs, artwork from the instruction booklets, sketches, rare promotional pieces, pixel art, and a fold-out poster, interviews with the artists, and much more. So this is actually pretty cool. Now it retails for $39.99 US or $53.99 Canadian. I was actually fortunate that Chapters had this on sale for $40, so I ended up saving $14, and I actually got to pay the US price, which is pretty good because living in Canada, we don't typically get to do that. And I'm not going to flip through the entire book and show every single page, but I thought I would show off just some of the things that are in here and kind of give my thoughts on it. So one of the things that I just really like, it's always cool going through and seeing artwork from the old instruction booklets. Like this is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, because I flipped a few pages ahead. But there's stuff from the original Legend of Zelda. Just really cool, and it goes through basically all the games in the franchise. So we've got Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, and just quite a few of these really great pieces of artwork. Some of them are game covers. For example, this is the cover that they had for the Japanese version of the of the N64 game, Majora's Mask. So again, I'm not going to go through and show every single piece of artwork. I just kind of wanted to give a general idea of some of the things that are in here. So we'll kind of skip ahead, because like I said, it does give a little bit of artwork from each of the games. The one thing that I'm not going to say bother me, it may be sort of a minor nitpick, but I would have liked to have seen some little bit of descriptions about what the artworks actually depict, instead of like all they really do is have at the bottom, Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, for example, as far as this one goes, but it doesn't really give a lot of information about the actual pieces of art themselves. Just basically, it only really talks about what game, it only mentions what game it's from, and not anything else. So even going so far as to not have the names of the characters involved here. I mean, we obviously know that this is Link, but it would be nice to have a little bit more information about each of the pieces of art in there, even if it's just something simple. Now it does, like for example here it shows Princess Zelda and the fairy, but again, for the larger pieces of art, it would have been nice just to have a little bit more. But again, that's sort of a personal kind of nitpick thing, because the artwork in here is just really awesome. I mean, seeing some of the artwork for creatures from the very first Zelda game, and how different they look than the 8-bit sprites. And it goes through and shows, like I said, throughout all the different games. It's pretty cool to see things like items, the artwork for items from each of the individual games is pretty cool. So this is Link's Awakening here, Ocarina of Time. And like I said, there's a lot of really fantastic art in here. Like I said, I'm not going to show off everything, but I just kind of wanted to show some of the things that that are in here, because it is really cool. But my favorite section overall, I mean, it's nice to have this kind of stuff here, but one of my favorite sections is actually further back, when we get to just a second here, see if we can get to it. So we get to, near the back of the page. So this is 374 pages in. But this has the cover arts for all of the different games, the different regions. So like Legend of Zelda, North American, Japanese, Adventure of Link, Japanese. And one of the common themes is that, for the most part, it seems like the Japanese covers are actually a lot nicer, whereas the North American ones tend to be kind of I don't want to say generic, but there's a lot less going on. Like, I kind of like the thing with Link on Epona a little bit more than just the shield, sword, and name. But again, that's personal preference. But this is a really cool section. One of the great things about this is that it actually does have a little bit more information, like including release dates for North America and Japan, as well as the console it was on. So, for example, we've got Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. North American release date was November 22nd, 2013. The Japanese release date was December 26th. So it's actually kind of interesting that this one came out. Actually, seems like most of these, just at a quick glance, looks like a lot of these had the North American release before the Japanese one. But also back here we have the pixel arts for some of the earlier games. So for example, it's got all the different frames or pixel art works for Link, including the different colored tunics you get from getting the magical rings, the different animations for attacking, walking, Princess Zelda, because Princess Zelda's sprite does change depending on Link's color palette, which is kind of a neat thing. I've only ever seen Zelda with the red dress on, but they do actually change depending on what Link has for colors. We've got some of the bosses here, the different pixel arts for Ganon is pretty cool, and does that for like I said, for a lot of these 2D earlier games, which is pretty cool. And then we just have the bonus gallery. Now this is the information that I would have liked to have seen with some of the other pieces of art. So this one gives a little bit of a tiny little blurb about it at the bottom. For example, this one here, the Legend of Zelda 25th Anniversary illustration. The blurb reads, in 2011, a campaign to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the series' creation took place, kicked off by Legend of Zelda 25th Anniversary Symphony Concerts. This commemorative illustration was drawn for the occasion from the first game right up until Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which was at that time the latest release. This elaborate piece features a gathering of links both past and present. So it's just, like I said, kind of cool to have that information. There is a little bit of stuff here for Breath of the Wild, which I'm hoping to pick up soon. It releases the day after I record this video, but the day before it uploads. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it right away. Finances are a little bit tight right now, so it's probably going to be another month or two before we can get to that. And one of the other cool things in the back here looks like sort of an interview with some of the artists for Legend of Zelda. I haven't read it all as of yet, but again, most of my favorite stuff about this book takes place right at the end, basically. So that is the Legend of Zelda Art and Artifacts book. I really enjoy this. I did kind of nitpick a little bit here, but overall, this is a really fantastic book. If you are a fan of the Legend of Zelda series, and you love the characters, love the artwork, this is the definitive guide or collection of all those pieces of art over the years. The only other thing that's not necessarily a negative, but it's took me a little getting used to, is that the pages that they used, the paper stock is thicker than you would expect for these kind of things. So I think it's even thicker than the Hyrule Historia, which I'll do a video for at a later time. So it always felt like whenever I went to flip a page, even though it was a single individual page, it always just felt based off the thickness that I had two pages that were stuck together. So that took a little bit of getting used to, and that's about as minor a nitpick as you can really get. Overall, this is a high quality book. The fact that they use the thicker stock for paper, it adds to the fact that it is a quality product. It is hefty. It's a heavy book. And I'm a little bit concerned about the binding over time, but I haven't had any issues with it yet, and I haven't heard anything negative about it yet. So like I said, I think this is a really awesome book, and I'm glad that I have it. I'm glad that I was able to get it for a bit of a cheaper price. I think if I would have paid the full $54, I may have felt a little disappointed. Not so much in the fact that the artwork is lacking, because it certainly isn't, but it just, again, it felt like there was a little bit missing, and it would have been nice to have had just a little tiny, even if it was like a one sentence line caption underneath each of the piece of art, like they did with the bonus gallery in the back. So I think that it would have been really cool to have just some of that stuff, even if it's just kind of the name of the piece that the artist gave, because usually when an artist creates a piece of art, they have a name that they give it. So it would have been nice to have some of that esoteric information. But overall, really solid book. Really enjoy having it. I flipped through it a few times now since I've gotten it. And like I said, I'm glad that I have it, and it's definitely a welcome addition to my bookshelf. Anyway, if any of you watching have this as well, let me know what you think. Below. Do you enjoy the book? Do you think it would have been nice to have had some of the just extra little blurbs, extra little bit of history? Again, just kind of leave that as a comment below. And again, I always like to hear people's stories when it comes to Legend of Zelda franchise. So my all-time favorite gaming franchise ever. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.